Yeah, so I'm joined by my good friend of many, many years, Alex Cartwright today. Hello, Alex. How are you doing?
Hello. Who who is the audience for this?
So they would know you as RudeRabbit as well, then I suppose.
Yeah, I was gonna say like if if this is for the PixJames, the Friendship Dome, I suppose, then introductions aren't really required. Everyone probably knows me. I'm Alex, aka Rude Rabbit. You know me. Staple of the Friendship Dome community, me. So, what brought about this project?
So basically, I've always had obviously a huge interest in radio, and that this segment is part of the wider show. And what I want to do is I'm going to try and get someone on every week, just one of my friends or someone who's part of the PixJames Friendship Dome community, and just have a little chat with them, get them to choose a few songs they like to go on my show, and then we'll have a little chat about some stuff. So basically, I think the first question I'd like to ask you is, how do you think your music taste is formed right now? What is your main sort of boo when it comes to the music at the moment?
So, I'm discovering a lot of new music at the moment, and by new music, I mean like music from the past, like decade or so. Apologies. Yeah, so at the moment, my musical tastes are broadening massively. I've discovered that I enjoy like Ellie Goulding a lot. Never knew that. So listening to a lot of Ellie Goulding, Taylor Swift, Marina and the Diamonds.
She's just called Marina now.
Well, that's the thing. She wants us to just refer to her as Marina, but you know, you don't get to make that call.
Well, it's like if it's like when I'm George, what was Paul McCartney? He's always going to be
George, yeah.
He's never going to be able to escape being a Beatle, even if he tries to make his own band afterwards.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, I've asked you to choose a few songs as well to go along, just because I wanted to sort of give the audience an idea of where you're at musically. I know I've just asked you to choose a few songs, nothing necessarily that's your favourite or anything like that, but just something to get us on our way. So what's the first song you'd like to give us today?
Well, I'd like to preface this by saying, if you're expecting things along the lines of Ellie Goulding or Marina and the Diamonds, I haven't gone for like my new musical discoveries. I've gone for like more classic Alex tracks.
The safety picks.
Some safety picks, some like new, cool, interesting things, and some things that I just thought, I don't know, people might want to listen to. But opening us off, first pick for the does this project have a name?
Well, at the moment, I'm just going to call it sort of the PixCast, sort of the PixCast radio show, and then we're gonna go from that.
Okay. So my first musical pick for the PixCast is Seven Seas of Rye by Queen.
Oh, classic song.
Because like in my fantasy world, in the mind palace of Alex, what my wrestling entrance theme would be occupies like 50% of my mental power. And Seven Seas of Rye is a really good candidate. It's up there with like TNT by AC/DC, and a rather obscure song, Temple by a band whose name I forget. But Seven Seas of Rye is like the current leading candidate. I'll keep you updated if that changes.
So please do it. And if it changes throughout this program, let me know.
Yeah,
change of heart.
I'll give you any breaking news updates. You'll be the first to know.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. We'll be starting ourselves off then with Seven Seas of Rye by Queen.
Your very souls, you unbelievers. What is why?
So Alex, that was Seven Seas of Rye there by Queen, a classic song by a classic band. But you highlighted something I'd quite like to talk to you about. It's a big part of our friendship, or it definitely was in the past. Maybe less so now.
Yeah, we've kind of fallen off the wrestling bandwagon a little bit because it kind of got really bad for a while. I keep feeling like we should get into like AEW because apparently it's pretty good. But
for those of you that don't know, AEW is an independent wrestling company that's been set up by a former WWE wrestler, and it's quite big on the indie scene right now. It's getting some rave reviews.
Yeah, a lot of our faves, people that we've actually seen in real life, are in that. So it kind of feels like a good place for us to go, but I don't know. After being out of the loop, off the wagon for such a long time, getting back in feels like quite an investment, you know.
It's a daunting task, isn't it? Because we're coming in cold, really, back to it, aren't we? You can't really ramp sort of into WWE just immediately where they are.
There's so much of it. There's like 6 WWE programs a week. Like, how do
so much wrestling?
It's so much wrestling, and that's just one company. That's just the biggest company. If you wanna keep track of like what's going on,
New Japan,
in the Indies, and like New Japan, AEW now,
Impact.
Like, there's just so much wrestling.
Everyone's favorite Impact.
There's so much wrestling, and I don't know. And the thing is, as much as I love wrestling, most of it's rubbish. Let's be honest. Particularly when recently a lot of the character work has been, shall we say, it leaves something to be desired, perhaps.
I always think of it as, imagine reading your favourite book, and then 3 chapters in, suddenly they just start shooting all of their friends.
Yeah, some eccentric billionaire comes in and just decides, you know what, this guy doesn't do a good enough southern accent, so I'm just going to take him out of the story now. You know that side character who you were really attached to? I'm just going to take him away now, sorry.
We've, unfortunately, we've had to wish him well on his future endeavours.
Yes.
But and speaking of future endeavours, let's start speaking about your second song. What have you got lined up for us?
My next song is a punk track.
Oh, you're appealing to my heart here. Okay.
A little bit. Went through a bit of a punk phase a couple of months ago. Picked out some cool new discoveries, and one of them is, I don't know how to say it honestly.
Oh, okay.
It's Amy L. I thought it was Amy L, but now writing it down, it's like all one word. So is it like a mill and the Sniffers?
A mill and the Sniffers.
Gacked on Anger. Amy L and the Sniffers is punk track, political undertones, hits me right in where I want to be.
I think this is the good opportunity to discuss one of the things that I think is quite important again to us is moving away from similar interests to maybe similar ideologies. We are both quite rebellious people when it comes to sort of our stances on life, aren't we?
That's one way of putting it, I guess.
I mean, you're recently considering joining a literal
a far left trade union organization, yeah.
anarchist group, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what do you think frames a lot of that for? Do you think life experiences is what brings that to the forefront, or do you think it's something is it more of a nature or nurture thing for you?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. That kind of comes into that touches on a lot of stuff. It's definitely true that I've been interested in like radical ideology from a very young age. I was given a pretty soft intro to like communism when I was a very young age, which probably warmed me up to it in a way that perhaps other people wouldn't have been. I don't know. For me, it's like a commitment to justice is the underlying.
Do you think Batman would have been a communist?
Well, it's well, probably not, considering like he's the child of like incredibly rich billionaires with a butler, but
he donates a lot of money.
That's true, and as we all know, like philanthropy is like very well thought of. In Red Sun, the comic book where Superman lands in Russia instead of the middle of Kansas, Batman turns up and he's an anarchist, and some artist was like, how do we illustrate that Batman, this is like Russian Batman? How can we subtly communicate to the audience that this is still Batman, but he's the Batman that lives in Russia? And they just put a Ushanka on him.
Oh.
He's just wearing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say through
Ushanka
sickles. I'm so disappointed.
No, I'm afraid not. No, he's just wearing his Batman mask with his pointy bat ears sticking up through his fluffy Russian hat, and it's not DC's finest hour.
Inspired, an inspired moment from DC.
Absolutely. So, I don't know. Yeah, justice would be like the point. Like any explicit form of injustice of someone getting away with taking more than their fair share, of taking advantage of other people, just doesn't sit right with me. It touches some very, very core discomfort in my being, and this leads me to want to set it right in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that's me.
I think that's a very noble thing to think. I think we both grew up in an area of England that is it's very
rather conservative.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I'm quite left leaning is that my dad is. My dad grew up with nothing. We didn't grow up with nothing, but he didn't grow up with a lot. And then as he got older, he was able to make some money for himself because he worked very hard. He got into a tech field, which obviously tech fields pay quite well nowadays. And but he still kept those moral values of someone who didn't have very much. And I think that passed on to me as someone who didn't have very much but knew that I could get some more. And I think that it definitely instilled in me that this belief in helping everyone up rather than pushing them down to get yourself up. It was hard to grow up left wing, wasn't it?
I would say so. I mean, from my point of view, when I moved abroad, I went to a evangelical Christian school, and as one can imagine, that kind of skewed very conservative, both in terms of like social values, but also very economically as well. So that was quite challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
You're the lone Ruski growing up in America.
Yeah, the one pinko, the loneliest pinko.
You were Russian Batman, if only for a second.
if just for a bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think this is a good time. If your third song is Russian themed, I'm gonna be through the roof.
I'm afraid it's not. My third song, I knew I had to put a Muse track on here because Muse is my favorite band, and I really struggled on which one to pick because I didn't want to put more than one on the playlist just to make it like varied up. Yeah, that would get tiresome even for me. And I was like, well, what do I pick? Well, like, that's an age-old conundrum. Someone who's listening to this may have never heard of Muse, may not have heard any of their tracks. How do I introduce them to someone who's never heard them before? Do I pick like their best music? Well, if it's like my favorite track, if that's the best one, it's all downhill from there for them, right? So then do I pick something that's like bad, but then they're not going to want to like listen to anymore? So basically I just picked one that was a bit bombastic and a bit fun. This is Supremacy by Muse, which I always think sounds like a rejected James Bond theme. So yeah, so if you have a little James Bond visual in your head while you listen to this, enjoy.
Okay, well, this is Supremacy by Muse. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Is a fantasy. Policies have risen up and overcome the brave. Greatness dies, unsung and lost, invisible to history. Buried spies, brainwashing our children to be mean. You don't have long I am on to you. The time it has come to destroy.
And I'm sorry to say, we're at the last little segment of our little chat here, Alex.
Are we?
We're running out of time very quickly. We've
sorry.
got 18 minutes of chat. And we've got all those beautiful songs you've given us to fit in as well. So I just want to quickly talk about one more thing, which is basically what are you doing? Sort of, this is a very deep question. What are you doing immediately in sort of the next 6 months or so? What plans have you got?
Ooh, I don't know. This isn't a very interesting line of questioning, I don't think. My next 6 months involve a lot of me getting qualifications so that I can do something with my life, I guess. Unfortunately, we live in a society where you need to justify yourself in order to do the things you want to do, and I need that certification. So I'm going to continue pursuing that in a very remedial capacity, and
well, I think it's something I know you might not necessarily think at first that it's something quite as deep as maybe it is, but I think it's quite good that you've gone back to it, and I think that's something that we as a British people are very bad at doing, is admitting that we can actually go back and have a second go at something. But you see the merits in doing it, and I think that's the thing I'd like. I think I'd like mostly to take away from this is that I'm a big believer in going back to things when maybe you need some time to come back and do it, but you can pick it up again at a later date. And I think that's one of the things I just wanted to talk about, knowing that you have a bit of experience in that. I just wanted to sort of see your view on it and see if we agreed, and I think we do.
I think that's. I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to come out here and rail against second chances, are they?
I don't know, dude. Have you seen the Brexit debate?
No, yeah, that's a fair point. You messed up once. That means that you have to stick with that decision. It was the will of you in that moment. No backsies.
Yeah, it was the will of the people for you not to get a second chance. But no, yeah, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always. We talk normally, but this has just been a bit of an informal interview, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks for giving this very flattering profile of me. I hope everyone got a good impression.
Well, you say that, but we still you have to leave a lasting impression on the people. What is your last song?
My last pick, I thought it would be symbolic, as you are having me on this project, to have a song that I shared with you and we both enjoyed together. So this is The Wire by Haim, which
perfect,
is a song
yes.
I gave to you and you really resonated with, and now we can all share that together and have a good time.
Haim's a great choice. Well, I'd like to have you on again. Are you going to leave us? Now? Where can people find you if they want to do so?
You can find me in the Friendship Dome, of course. That's James's Discord server, which he will undoubtedly plug at some other point in this audio endeavor. You can follow me on Twitter at MammothFoot, all one word.
But no, we'll leave you with The Wire by Haim. Thank you very much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
You know I'm bad at communication. It's the hardest thing for me to do, and it's the most important part that relationships will go through. And I give it all away just so I could say that. But I know that you're gonna be okay anyway. You know there's no rhyme or reason for the way you turned out to be. I didn't go and try to change my mind, not intentionally. I know it's hard to hear me say it, but I can't bear to stay. And I just know that you're gonna be okay anyway. Always keep your heart locked tight. Don't let your mind retire. Oh, but I just couldn't take it. I tried not to beg it, but I fumbled, and when it came down to the wire, it felt right. It felt right. But I fumbled, and when it came down to the wire, it felt right. It felt right. But I fumbled, and when it came down to the wire, tight. Don't let your mind read that. Always keep your heart locked tight. Don't let your mind read that. Oh, but I just couldn't take it. I tried not to beg it, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, but I just couldn't take it. I tried not to beg it, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, it felt right. It felt right. Oh, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, it felt right. It felt right. Oh, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, it felt right. It felt right. Oh, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, it felt right. Oh, but I fumbled, and when I came down to the wire, yeah.
Perfect, Alex. That was quite the song there. That was a classic. So we talked a little bit about.
You're pulling the wool over people's eyes. We're pre-recording
Shut
this,
up.
and we didn't
Shut
sit and listen to the song.
Look, we don't have time for all this. Okay, I have to
I'm
make
sorry.
this. Right.
Sorry.
We can put this at the end, and then if someone wants to listen to it, they can. I'm gonna put like 30 seconds of silence, and then, hey, listener, if you got this far,
Good job.
yeah, good for you. Anyway,
Thanks.